Hafade Zantiro, welcome to Marianas Stories, where we talk with ordinary people who have extraordinary stories here in the Marianas. I'm Catherine Perry, and today we are here at the home of Rocball at Marianas High School Gymnasium. The inventor, founder of Rocball, Mr. James Feger, has set up the court and made time for us today. Mr. Feger, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
So a lot of people, especially those of us that had gone to Marianas High School, but not actually played Rocball, maybe under the misconception that it's volleyball, but that's not true. How did you get the idea for this sport?
Okay, the fundamental rules of Rocball come from an ancient sport. In fact, it's the only sport, it's the first sport to use a rubber ball, and it comes from the Mesoamerican region of what is now known as Mexico. And it used to be played by the civilizations of Maya and the Aztecs. And they had a game where they had a vertical loop on the wall, and they have to hit the ball through the loop to win a game, or they had to outscore their opponents without scoring the loop. One either way. But that's going back a long ways. When I first thought about the game of Rocball, I was in Japan, and I was watching some Japanese ladies play volleyball. And they hit a ball over the net. One lady hit a ball over the net, it bounced off court and landed in a bucket. And it's like one of those, up, down, in, out reaction things. I went, wow. And I thought, oh, because then I remember back in my high school days reading about the Aztecs and Mayas playing a game where a ball went into a circular thing. So I got to thinking about, that's interesting. And I used the court of volleyball, which is similar to that court in that you had to hit a ball. In some courts, they had a small wall. You had to hit the ball over from one team to the other or through the thing or the vertical loop. So I went back in that, and I came back to volleyball, and I said, okay, this is the court I might work with. And when I originally did back in 1981 and 82 at Hopwood Junior High School, I actually had vertical loops made up, and we were playing with that kind of a game, with the ball over the net or through the loop. And it didn't feel right. After about a year we experimented with it. And then the next year I made these goals up and put them at the end of it and substituted the loops for the goals. Now, at the time that I did this, there were two games that were being played internationally. One was Sepak Takraw. I think that's to pronounce it. That's where you kick the ball over the net. You don't touch it with your hands or any part of the upper body. It's all kick. Kick the ball over, kick the ball. Very athletic people, by the way, that can do that. Or the other game called volleyball. At that time, you were not allowed to touch the ball anywhere except for the elbows to the hands. Any part of the body was an illegal hit. So I didn't like that. That doesn't remind me of what a game should be. I learned how to play volleyball in the Marine Corps. We didn't play by those rules in the Marine Corps. We played jungle rules. And we even pulled the net and everything. We had a great time. Had a lot of fun. But getting on with it. Going back to that idea, how can this be more fun than that? And how can I bring back a competitive spirit of an old sport like that through a modern venue like volleyball? Then I started writing up rules. And then I said, well, in this sport that I'm writing up, you can hit the ball any part of the body as long as you don't carry the ball. Head, foot, shoulder, arm, leg, kick the ball, as long as you keep it in play. And then I wrote up that it shouldn't be just one team scoring points, because that's what volleyball was at the time. Only the service team, we'll call it side-out rules of play. I said, no, that's not right. Both teams can score points because they're competing against each other. So why shouldn't they score points? So I invented unrestricted hitting, kicking, and rally point back in 1980 and 81, and we started playing with those rules at Hopwood Junior High School here in Saipan. And then the game started evolving, and then I wrote up the rules for serving. If you serve a ball, you can score 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points, depending how the ball landed. So we got more than 1 point per serve, because if you're playing a game and you have the athletic ability to hit a ball in such a way that it lands on a court or against a person or a goal, it's worth more than 1 point. You have the athletic skills to score more than 1 point, score it. And so that's what we did. And we have a situation where you can serve the ball, where you can score 1, 2, or 3 points. And we have situations where you're playing the actual game where you can score 1, 2, or 3 points. And it makes a difference in the score when you come along. So we had our rules up. And over the time, over the years, some things have changed and some things have not changed. For example, I can get into the terminology of it. We have scoring called the key. We have scoring called the ace. We have scoring called the zunk. We have scoring called the jam. We have scoring called the goal. 1, 2, and 3 point scoring. Okay. And in this game, you can get penalty. You can get penalized. You can lose a point. And one of the ways you lose a point, and this goes back to the Aztecs. You could lose a point in that game if you hit the ball at the wrong part of the body or something. That's not what we do, though. When you start the game, the serve starts the game. The server starts the game. It is his responsibility to initiate competition. So the first serve of the ball has got to be good. If you don't hit the ball correctly, if it hits the net or out of court, doesn't land inside your opponent's court, on the first serve, your team loses a point and the other team gets the serve because you didn't initiate the competitive features to get the game moving. So they lose a point. Then the other one is if I hit the ball over the net and you are my opponent and you hit the ball and it lands on the floor and nobody else touches it, that's called an ace. That's a 2-point serve. Okay.
What do you mean by 2-point serve?
That means that if I serve the ball over the net so hard that one person hits it and it flies off the court or hits the floor before another person has a chance to play on it,
you get 2 points.
That's 2 points because that's a good serve. I mean, that's a hard serve. So,
what is the psychology behind, I would say, the complication of these rules? Because you can imagine somebody coming from middle school. I'm the best volleyball player in middle school, and you come and you realize a rock ball requires a lot more thinking, a lot more strategy. It sounds like than volleyball.
Yeah, it does. You have to think more different ways, and in fact, you have to use more strategic planning in order to get through the game. So I just explained to you how you can lose points or how you can gain 2 points. Okay. When I first started, this might sound a little strange, but when I first started the game, along with a lot of other things, and I thought about, in basketball you got to dunk, right? In football you got to punt, right? In baseball you got to bunt. So I'm thinking, what other kind of sport has the zunk. What is the zunk? If I hit the ball over the net and hits your court and nobody touches it, that's like a basketball dunk. I mean, It's just as dramatic. So I'm saying, oh yeah. So we hit the ball over the net, it lands on your court, and nobody on your team has the ability to get to that ball and play on it before it hits the court. It's 2 points. Or you lose 2 points. See, the serving team has a choice in that situation.
Oh.
I can add 2 points to my score, or I can subtract 2 points from your score on a zunk. And that's made a big difference in some games because it lowers you're leading and it drops you down 2 points, and the other team is not so far behind. They can catch up, and it's happened. So if you're good, if you're good, you know what's going on, and you're thinking about the rules. It's not volleyball. You're thinking about these are the kind of scores that the other team can have. If I'm standing here, you're thinking different ways. You're thinking strategy. Not only that, in Rocball, there's 5 players, not 6, unless you have a girl on it. If you play co-ed, you can play 6 players. And they say, oh yeah, and it makes a big difference because we got some outstanding young ladies who know how to play. I've seen these guys, they're almost 6 foot tall, or they're high school kids. They're strong, they're athletic. They spike a ball, and the girl on that team bumps it right up. And the ones that come to my mind are a couple of them that are around here would be Tracy Camacho. She's now about your age.
Yeah, she's a year older
Camacho
than me. Graduated MHS.
Chenny Lizama was another one. Yvonne Tutti was another one from back in the day. And, I forget, there's Sherilyn something, Shauna, I forget. Anyway, very followish girl, very good. And she was a player of the year once too. Sharma. Somo. Somo. And so, makes a big difference. But if you play, did I say that right? Somo?
Maybe
Somol.
you did. Is that her last name? Because there's also a Sharma Iganoyev.
She
No.
got married, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a Sharma Iganov was also
okay,
a very good player, which they were teammates too.
Oh,
by the
okay.
way. They're very excellent players. If you had that girl on your team, on a boys' team, you had some competition on your hands. There was no easy play there, and good servers too. So when you have that kind of scoring thing going on in your head, and then you have the goal, all right? And now, if somebody's serving the ball over the net, you got to be careful because you got 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point possibilities on the serve for the serving team, and the serving team has the scoring advantage. Like I was explaining to you, when I serve the ball over the net to you, your team, if I'm serving and you're receiving, you have 2 hits to get the ball back over to me. And then I have 5 hits. And then the other team has 5 hits. And we play 5 hits until the other team scores a point, one team or the other. And what does that do? In volleyball, it's bump, set, spike, bump, set, spike, bump, set, spike, bump, set, spike. That's kind of numlock. I mean, that's what you expect. It's monotonous because you know what's going to happen. But in this, you got 5 hits. You can bump it up. You can bump it up, hit it on the first, second, third, fourth, set it up for the fifth. You can set it up for backcourt scoring and things like that. You have more opportunity to move from one side of the court to the next and set somebody up if you got 5 hits. So we developed the 5-hit game. And that's the last 10 years or so.
What kind of qualities, physical or mental, are you hoping or aiming for Rocball to bring out in an athlete?
I would, like you're saying earlier, I would like to think that it's a mentally stimulating activity, where that there are various and different opportunities for a team or an athlete to express himself or to show what kind of athletic abilities they have and to be recognized for it. For example, in Rocball, if you score the most aces, like 2-point serves, I write it down, recognize it, and put it in the newspapers. They were the best, the ace server of the season was, or the person who served the most zunks, that zunk the other class, they are the ones. Or the other person, for example, who scores the most keys, backcourt scoring, is this person. And the person who scored the most goal is this person. And then when the championship game starts, then I look at it and I say, this team has scored more goals than the other team, so they have the advantage, they have good goal scoring players. Yeah. But this team has some really good servers. They got the most aces and zunks, so it's a good combination. Defensively, Team A hasn't scored as many points as Team B over the season, but they have the best scoring situation for goals. They're unpredictable. All right. Team A is solid because they've scored more points every game than anybody else, okay? And that could be the 1-point court like volleyball and add up all the rest of them, all right? So you have a good combination. So I can identify a good defensive team and I can identify a good offensive team under those conditions. For example, as I wrote up on the board to remind me, if I'm serving, I create the volley. Volley means to attack. So I am the offensive scoring situation. If I'm receiving, I'm on the rally. I'm on the defensive. I'm responding to the attack. So you have a situation where you can count volley points as the offensive scoring and the rally points as the defensive scoring. And you can take those statistics and say, Team A is the best offensive scoring team of the year. Team B is the best defensive scoring of the year. Team A has scored more aces and zunks than any other team in the league, and Team B has scored more 3-point plays than any other team in the league. So I can make that distinction. How you can make that distinction with the volleyball game? You can't. 1 point per play. Oh, he got more kills. Well, we got kills too, no problem. In fact, our kills are even more dramatic because it's more than 1 point. Our blocks are more dramatic because it's stopped 1, 2, or 3 points. See, this is the difference between us and them, is that we have more different types of way of a person distinguishing themselves in a competitive environment like Rocball and a team net sport. So just to go back real quick, and I want to make sure that everybody understands, I've been saying it over and over again, and it came out later on. This is the team that invented rally point scoring. This is the team that invented unrestricted hitting and kicking. This is the team that came on CNN World Report in 1992 and 1993 that showed the world what was going on at the high school, at Marianas High School, the new game called Rocball. Okay. In the early 1900s, volleyball was being dropped by colleges. They were dropping them off the scholarships. They were taking them out of their game, their curriculum. 1992, 1993, Rocball went on CNN World Report. 1994, volleyball started changing the rules. They changed it, and instead of side out, they changed. Now they came out. It was in the PDN. Now we have a whole new game. I looked at it, and some of my Rocball players said, "Hey, Mr. Feger, look at this." I went, "Oh boy, Gabriel."
White?
Yeah, now I forget his name. Gabriel White. He was the captain of the team at that time. He said, "You see that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's not." I said, "I know. This is the way." I wrote to FIVA about it, and they wrote back to me about 5 years later. Well, actually, I've written to the International Olympic Committee when I first did the game. They said, "Congratulations. When you get this thing worldwide, let me know. Let us know." That's the International Olympic Committee. So when FIVA adopted our rules to reinvigorate or reinvent their volleyball side out, I wrote to them, and then I wrote to the IOC and said, "What is this?" He said, "I wrote to you back in that and told you what I was doing, and now they picked up these rules, and now they're playing with it." And about 4 years later, I got a note back from FIVA, and it said, what it said, "Well, you yourself said that you use volleyball as a what?" I said, "Yeah, I did." I said, the game is derivative of volleyball, but its fundamental rules of play come from the Aztecs and Mayas. And so they wrote me that one letter, and I just said, okay. It's an affirmation that, yes, I did do it. And when, it's a negative affirmation, but it's a fact that they have acknowledged it at some level.
Well, you can take solace in the fact that the game is actually recognized and being played around the world at this time.
Yeah, and I was telling you earlier, that's why I had to write them all down, because it used to be 10 years ago, it was only like India. I was doing some work with myself and people in Mumbai, India about the game. And then it caught on in India and bigger at that time than any place else. I've been sending out Rocball news letters and booklets for years. I mean, I went in, I looked at all the volleyball association, all the countries with the volleyball association to the IOC, all of them, and I sent them rules of play 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So they all got it. But in India, they took it and then they started playing. They started playing volleyball set rules. No, it's not a volleyball. You don't play set rules in this game. And so they started it, and then Pakistan picked it up, and then Bangladesh, and those are the three big players right now. Pakistan and Bangladesh just finished national championships last month and this month, and they've had a few other in the past. India has had several age groups all the way up, and they've done it every year. And I had, with India, I wrote a copyright license agreement with them as a non-profit organization, and they have what they call the Society Act of 1860 that has guidelines for non-profit organizations. So I've been working with them in India, and they are going to have an international meet early next year. Now I've been on early next year. They've had their national, they're going to have their international. I'm going to be in a Zoom meeting with India last week of this month about their new elections for it's called the Rocball Amateur Federation of India, with their president and so forth. So I'll be on live with them during that meeting, as I was from Argentina that went international about Rocball. And then I was with Pakistan about a week and a half after Argentina with another international meeting in Asia. And so then I'll do the same thing with India next year when they have the international. They want me to come to India. I've been to India. I've been to Thailand. I've been to India. I was in India last year, and we had a meeting, and I was introduced to some people, and they showed us some Rocball games, took some pictures, some promos and things like that. It's nice. India's a nice country. But when hopefully this pandemic gets over and I'll get another visa go to India, and I'll participate in their international games over there. And now that.
So what all countries is Rocball now being played in, either that you are aware of formally or informally?
Okay, now I had to write them down because the last time I did this, I forgot a country, and I don't want to do that.
We need to acknowledge all of
yeah.
this.
Well, India is considered the epicenter of Rocball because they got 22 states. United States has 50 states. India has 22 states. They have Rocball teams from every state at every age level. So they're the big one. They're the big one. So India is considered the epicenter. They was the one who started out. And forgot. Rocball is going to be included in the Delhi University of Sports coming up next year. So that's another big thing for Rocball. So it's going to be a part of their curriculum. And I got to get in there and show them what Rocball is. I got to teach them the aces and the zonks and the keys and the goals. I got to teach them the rules of play. I don't want them playing the best 2 out of 3 like volleyball. It ain't volleyball. So I want to get over there for that. When they get that, when they get the university finally built and they pulled that in as a part of their curriculum, then I'm going to be over there teaching them their referees and their officials and so forth, the way we play it out here. Because like you say, it's convoluted, there's a lot of things to it. And it's like playing checkers with volleyball or playing chess with Rocball. But everybody should understand that since I've been out here, since 1981, now it's almost 2020, almost 40 years, junior high school students and high school students from Saipan know how to play the game. They got the rules down. They got their strategies down. And if I make a mistake, they'd correct me. That's how good they are. So, and I call the game, but I always have to write down all the stats too, so I'm not always eye on that kind of stuff.
And that is a lot of stats.
But the countries, the big one is India, next Pakistan, Bangladesh, and then Japan just joined this year, and they're working on it. Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Spain. They're mostly out of the Basque people in the northern part of Spain. They're the ones some college students got together. Argentina, the guy from Argentina, when I was on Zoom, said they have schools that are playing Rocball over there. He's going to send me some information about that. Kenya, he contacted me, Liberia, and Tanzania from Africa. So they all contacted me, and I said, good, we have an Asian Rocball Federation. It might not be a bad idea if you have an African Rocball Federation. Get together your 3 teams or whatever, talk about it, and maybe we can work something up. So that's in the process of being worked. But there's some poor countries. They ask for equipment. I said, I'm a high school teacher. I can't send you equipment. And then we have, Kenya, Egypt, Morocco, and Haiti. They've sent me messages about it, and they want to get involved with it. And I said, this is what you need to do. You need, what's the other one? A guy out of Dubai. That was last week. That's the Arab Emirates
United
or something?
Arab Emirates?
Dubai.
Yeah.
He emailed me last week, and he wants to know how to get it started. And I tell everybody the way you get it started is you get your organization, you get organized. You just elect your president, and so all you need is a president and general secretary, and then we can go from there. Send me a logo, and we'll get started. So they're working on that. So that's what? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and a guy who used to be here 20 years ago, he taught PE, and he used to help me call Rocball games. He lives in Missouri. He emailed me last month, and he said, yeah, I've been trying this over here too. So officially, unofficially, he's got a foothold. But that's not the first time I've heard about Rocball in the United States.
Are you satisfied with where Rocball is now, locally and around the world?
Yeah, locally I am. It hasn't, like the CNMI has the Oceanic Sports also. And they're interested. I forgot about that. I sent them that PowerPoint, Oceanic Sports, and in Fiji, so they sent it back to me. But for a short time, I belonged to the Northern Mariana Island Sports Association, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. And then they wanted fees, and I can't afford a fees. I got out of it. So they never adopted Rocball, and I never adopted them. So we kind of like kept our separate ways like this. But Rocball for the public school system has the best track record of any sport played on a campus for almost 40 years without a break. You had sport programs that have started and then they lost their funding and they stop. And then they'll start again or they'll stop. But Rocball is not funded by the PSS. I'm the one who's doing these goals. I sent off and got the goals because I had the goals made outside years in 1985. They've been there for years. And I brought these on the indoor court because they wouldn't damage the court.
Can we take a walk around?
Yeah, sure.
And,
let's go.
Maybe you can give us an orientation on how
yeah, I got this thing
works.
connected, but I was talking about the goalie. Now, come on over here for a second. See, when you serve the ball, and by the way, you use both sides of the court to serve the ball. If I'm the goalie, this is the goalie's box here. On the serve, I'm the only one allowed in this box because I have this behind me. So what I can do, I can set, I can bump, or I can block, I can kick. I'm the only one who can do that off the serve. So when I bump it up, then the other team knocks it over, and then that side's got 5 hits, it comes back here, then I got 5 hits. Now, if I'm the goalie, and the ball hits in front of me and bounces inside, it's 3 points. If I'm the goalie and I hit the ball strangely and it bounces and goes in, it's 3 points. It's like soccer. Anytime the ball goes in there, it's 3 points. If I'm the goalie and I reach inside to knock the ball out, that's a 3 point. You can't do that. You got to stay away from that. And not to confuse anybody, but if the ball comes over the net and hits the face right there, that's a point. That's a point. Because we consider that vertical lines of the court. Just like you consider this the horizontal lines, in each part of that goal is considered the vertical lines.
I noticed the top bar is
Sway back?
concave.
Well, that's because it's been here for a few years and the kids like to
No,
hang.
I thought you designed it that way. Okay. So you
No,
even have to have
that
more
is student.
skill.
What is that called? Student sculptured.
Okay, all right.
It just hangs like, don't do that. Oh, okay. But I don't like that. So it's all right. It looks kind of nice. I like it. So we have it like that. And anyway, that's the goalie. Now the other thing about the goalie is your backcourt scoring threat. Because as a goalie, I can go all the way up. Let's go up here. I can go all the way up to the front line to make a play. And if I jump up and I hit the ball and it goes onto the court, it's 2 points for my team. So I'm a 2-point backcourt scorer. Now, the restriction of the goalie is he cannot play inside the 10-foot line. I can jump up, hit the ball. If I land inside, I've got to get back immediately and get out of the way, all right? That's the rules. And it's happened in the past. Fantastic jump. He comes up. Some of these kids can jump, I'm telling you. They get up, they hit, and they land about halfway down there. And the guy jumps up and blocks it, and the ball hits the goalie before he gets back. It's the other team's point. So that goalie's got to get back here. So they like to say, when you hear our students who've been playing Rocball, they went 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. The 10th and 11th and 12th graders, you can hear them yelling out, key, key. And what they're yelling is they want the goalie to get up and get ready to do a spike because they're going to set him up. And they got 5 hits to set him up. And so they can set it to the goalie, he can bump it back, they'll set it back to him, and then he can spike it. It could be on the 4th or 5th hit. So it gets everybody over there has got to be set and ready to go.
Would you say there are any particular characteristics for Rocball culture here at Marianas High School?
Culture, well, the culture it comes from the islands. That's just it's island born. The enthusiasm of the kids playing. Now the game has changed, and part of that is because the enthusiasm of the kids that are playing it. When we first started out, there wasn't really a goalie box, but the goalie was in there, and so we'd restricted it. And then when we got to playing like the face of the goal, and then we got to playing the 2-point backcourt, then we used to play 3 hits. I said, no, 3 hits, that's volleyball. And we got to do something besides that. And so we started doing that. And we put the goals back there, and we have restrictions over here, we have restrictions right here, and how to hit the ball. These kids are good. 2 hits is all they need to put the ball back over the net, and then they got 5 and 5. So when I was working with that rule, I was wondering about it, but I don't have to wonder about it no more. I don't know about the rest of the world, but if you want to learn how to do that, come on back to Saipan. We'll be glad to teach you. Oh, by the way, the guy from Kenya wants to bring some players out here. which would be nice because, you know, get some guys all the way from Africa that get some fundraising and so forth. Yeah, come on out here. We'll show you the real style. In which, if that does happen, then I'm going to put out a call. Okay, all you experienced Rocball players, get in here. I want to show these guys how to play. So I want to do that for them.
Oh, that'll
also
be great.
Yeah.
Get some old timers out here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
they probably love that. Sharing
I get a
Rocball
kick.
with the world. Yeah.
I get a kick. Sometimes I go over to the attic gym and I see some of the old Rocball players playing volleyball. You know, they're a few pounds. They're more than what they used to be when they were high school. Hey, come here, Mr. Lenizo. I said, well, you still got jump in you? Can you? Hey, he can't jump either. And he's talking to one of his friends, and they're both laughing because, you know, they're older guys now. They don't have that agility like they used to have. But I love it when I go over and I see the old player. I got like how many generations of old players here? I don't know. I was thinking the other day, I get about 100 players a year, if a little bit more, and I've been here for what, 39 years? So that's 39 times 100, whatever that is. So that's how many kids. And then whenever I go, it's nice. I run into them. Some of the guys that used to play at Hopwood, they got gray hair, and they're grandparents now. So, okay. And when I get a kick out of that, because they look, hey, remember me? And I see the gray hair on the front, Hopwood. They go, yeah. I say, hey, okay. So. What
is your hope for the future of the sport?
Well, I want it to go worldwide. It's going worldwide right now. The goals and aims of India is to get it into the Olympics. They're going to get the Asian Games going. So what happen? I think you need 14 or 15 countries playing the game to get into the Olympics. But they do have the Asian Games, and they can introduce it to the Asian Games and get it in there. Also, hopefully it works out. They're trying to get it organized and recognized by the government of India as an official sport. And I thought, well, that would take it a long ways, you know. So maybe after we get the international games in India next year completed, and if it goes into that sport university as part of the curriculum, who knows, you know, it might come out. And then that'll go a long way of setting it further out into the international world. And Argentina's Zoom meeting was international, all the continents, so that'd be interesting. I'm kind of waiting to hear from the Oceania Sports Federation. They sent me, we got it, thank you, we're going to look at it. And I said, okay, fine, go ahead and look at it and see how you're going to feel out with that. So there's a lot of possibilities out there. It's not like I've been waiting very long. 1981, 2021, 40 years. I said, yeah, okay, 40 years. So it's older than my children, for my goodness. But yeah, I'd like to see it go on. And not only that, I'd like to see it kind of evolve and be recognized as coming from this little island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you know? Because when you go back, and I say this to some people, this is the sport that changed the rules of play for international competition for a game called volleyball. They saw our rules, they saw our kids playing it, and they changed their rules because of it. CNN World Report in the 90s, and it's been that way ever since. So, no, that, for me, that's a great compliment, even though they don't want to recognize the contributions that we have made toward just kind of team that sport. It's irrefutable. It's irrefutable for a couple of reasons. One, the very first year at Hopwood, when I did games, I wrote a summary after every single game. I put a book together with the championships and introductions, and I had it copyrighted with the Washington, D.C. Library of Congress, so it's under international copyright law. And I've done that 7 or 8 times when I changed the rules to change the game of play. And also recognition from the World Intellectual Property Organization. So all this stuff is involved with the evolution of Rocball as it is now. What does it mean otherwise? I don't know. Hopefully it'll get more countries involved with it. I'm getting more information from Europe. Got some information yesterday from Belgium. Somebody out there wants to join up with Rocball. I said, yeah, of course. Open arms. Come on in. So what's the future? International Olympic Committee, recognition, maybe. General Association, International Sports Federation, which I connected to for a while? Maybe. The United States Volleyball Federation, I send stuff out to them all the time. And on LinkedIn, I have a LinkedIn thing, and I see them always. I got like 1 or 2 people from there all the time looking in on me. I'm going, okay, look on in, see what you can do. So if it comes to that, and if I get some people in here from outside Micronesia, because every students from every major island group in Micronesia have played Rocball at this school. If I get somebody from the outside like Kenya coming over here to learn how to play, this will become the new, I don't want to say Mecca, but it'll become the new pilgrimage. You want to know about Rocball? Go to the place where it was invented. So maybe we not only have a export of a sport, which you have in all these other countries now, but we'll have an import of people coming in here to get down to the basic rules, and then I can get all these old timers back in here and show them how it's done. And even the young kids too. They'd be happy to. In fact, I talked to them already about it, and someone, yeah, call me up, let me know what's going on with this thing. So I say, you're on the list, I'll give you a ring. So we'll see what happens. Going through all the rules, you don't want to do that. Because I got to take you, it's a lecture and it's a lesson, and it takes a while. It does not going to come to you in one day. And I always have practice sessions before our tournaments start, or the games, so they get used to the rules. After when these students got the rules down, they got them down, and they play like crazy. So I'm proud of them. I'm proud of the fact that they can do that. So if they can do it, anybody can do it. And anybody that's willing to give it a shot, come on to Saipan. We'll be glad to teach you.
Well, we've been chatting today with James Feger. He's the founder and creator of Rocball, as well as the president of the World Organized Rocball. Any final thoughts before we go?
No, things are going well right now. I'm satisfied with going on. Like I said, I'm going back to India. We're going to work on getting it more solidified over there. I'm very excited about the fact that it's going to be a part of that new sport university in Delhi. And so I want to have a hand in that, because if they're going to start training, I want to be a part of that training process. I'd love to take some of my students over there and show them, a couple of students, but that's down the road.
All right. Well, once again, we're coming to you live from the home court of Rocball here at Marianas High School, chatting with James Feger, the inventor of the sport. Mr. Feger, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for putting this up like that. International. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is if FIBA sees this, they're going to start using some more of our rules. So, FIBA's hands off. This is ours. Stay away.
And thanks for tuning in to Marianas Stories. We'll see you again next month. Have a great week.